Hello friends, it's Chops and welcome to another Chops vlog. We are in Grizzly Hills. I actually didn't make any progress this past week because I just haven't had a whole lot of time to play. So we are picking up exactly where we left off. We just finished up Howling Fjord. We've moved into questing in Grizzly Hills, and so I am currently on sort of my first round of quests in Grizzly Hills. I've never done any of the quests in this zone. I've run through it, mining, herbing, that kind of thing, and I really enjoy it. It's a very pretty zone. I love that it's, multi-leveled. I love sort of like the piney forest look of it. The music is famously really, really good for this zone. It's an incredible looking zone, so I'm very excited to get to quest through it, especially because I understand that there's like a larger like werewolf theme in it, which is very cool, like werewolf loggers or something. It'd be very neat. There's like warring furbolg that you have to like help fight each other or something. It's going to be very cool. I'm very excited to see this. I've never done it, so it'll be very cool. But what I did want to do with this week's Chops vlog was talk through a question that I got asked on last week's by free-to-play legend Crystal, who asked me, if I still enjoy playing free-to-play, do I still enjoy the game, or is it just like some kind of sunk cost thing where I've spent so much time on it, I might as well still spend time on it? And I answered him on the question, and the short answer is yes, I do still enjoy this. But I thought that would be a good sort of jumping off point to talk about a lot of why I enjoy free-to-play so much as opposed to like the larger game on the whole or another twink bracket. And I've taken a couple stabs at this, and I got kind of rambly. I'm trying to keep it short and coherent. So I think what I'm going to try to do is break it down into two parts. One, kind of explain why people enjoy twinks in general, and then sort of explain, I think, why 20s appeal to me more than any other bracket, and especially free-to-play 20s. I do have some vets. I have some videos of me playing my vets on this channel. You can check those out if you like. But free-to-play for me is what really sort of, I think, captures a lot of what makes World of Warcraft, or at least the potential World of Warcraft has to still be quite great. First thing, though, is I wanted to say, I do still very much enjoy the game, and if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be playing it. There are a large number of people on the forums, on the XPL forums, hell, on the official Blizzard forums, and in the XPL Discord that really seem to hate the game, but who still spend countless hours every week playing it. And I guess maybe there's like this cool kid posturing of being like, well, you have to say that like you hate the game, or people will think you're a shill for Blizzard, or you have to say that like you hate the game because it gives this impression that you have some deeper knowledge of how the game should operate, or like some deeper knowledge of game design, or disliking the game makes you sound like a more serious gamer. And so I imagine there's some there's some posting for clout that goes on in that. But also I do think a lot of people really have a hard time giving up things that they don't enjoy because they used to enjoy them. I've asked some people on the forums before, like, hey, if you hate this game so much, why do you still play it? And I get a lot of responses like, well, I grew up with the game. It's been a large part of my childhood. I really like the intellectual property of the game, the World of Warcraft universe, as it were. People who are like, well, I'm playing because eventually, I have faith that they're going to make it better. So I get that, like to a degree, but I also want to encourage people, like, if you don't like something, life is far too short for you to continue doing it, especially if it's voluntary. I know it's hard to give up things that you've put a lot of investment and time and money and emotion, and that have a sort of like meaning to you on a deeper level as a part of your development and a part of your growth. And it's, for a lot of gamers, like, gaming is sort of a refuge from a rough and tumble world. And when things go wrong in life, you can kind of log into the game and zone out and grind and make some progress. And that the ability to do that, like, is a really valuable part of gaming. So I don't necessarily want to, like, take that away from people or try to diminish the ability that that gaming can have for a lot of people, and the meaning, the sort of special place that it can carry for a lot of people. But you do need to give that up if it's no longer enjoyable. If it's no longer something that is able to provide that for you, and you just log on and you find yourself like hating it, and you logging on out of a sense of habit or a sense of like inertia, and you just despise it, let it go. It's gonna suck, but get another hobby. Find something else that you enjoy. Find another game, make things, do something else. Don't waste time on things you don't enjoy. And that's my Chops old man wisdom for you guys. Just, if you really and truly don't enjoy the game, stop playing it. Anyways, get that out of the way. A lot of people, and myself included, play twinks because we really just don't like the end game treadmill. Twinks are a way to enjoy the game without feeling like you have to be constantly keeping up with end game content lest you fall behind. And that became more of a problem as the game's gotten older. So back in Vanilla and Burning Crusade and a little bit of Wrath of the Lich King, though Wrath of the Lich King was kind of where it started going squirrely. The game was designed with the expectation that the vast majority of the player base would not see end-game content. So the game was designed with the expectation that because you weren't going to see that content, what you would be doing would be playing through the zones, playing through the quests, doing the 5-man dungeons, doing professions, maybe leveling alts, stuff like that. And so a greater focus of the game design was in that leveling process. And as Wrath of the Lich King came out, and especially as they went from Wrath to Kata, there was an understanding that leveling from 1 through 60 was fine, but now that we've added 20 levels onto the level cap, we're really extending the amount of time that people are leveling to get to end game. And then, coupled with a growing chorus of complaints from the larger player base that, just because they didn't have time to raid, or just because they didn't have time to really concentrate on PvP, that didn't mean that they shouldn't have access to higher eye level gear. And that didn't mean that they shouldn't have access transmogs were coming out around then. And so, like, and this gets to, like, a long debate in game design, like the easy mode debate, you know, that surrounds Dark Souls, surrounded Darkest Dungeon for a while, surrounds World of Warcraft to this day. Like, do we want it to be accessible to everyone, or do we want it to be something where only the elite are getting the elite rewards? And World of Warcraft, for better or worse, decided that they wanted more of their population, more of their player base, to see more of their end game content. And the result of these two things, one, trying to speed up leveling because they were adding so many levels to the level cap, but also trying to get more of their player base into endgame, meant that more of their player base cared about endgame than anything else. And what happened was, now, instead of it being expected that most of your players are never going to see endgame, and so you have to make the rest of the game fun and engaging and give them something to do, now it is rush everybody to endgame and then try to keep them busy at endgame. And that was, that has sort of created this situation that has amplified that in-game hamster wheel that most twink players are trying to avoid. Which brings us to the second point I wanted to make, which was, well, if you're avoiding the hamster wheel, why 20s and not some other twink bracket? The 30 project sounds compelling, you know, it's a bunch of guys, level of 30, clear the old raids, that kind of thing. Why not that? Why not play 10s? Why not play 50s? Why 20s? And a lot of that has to do with, one, the concept of taking a free-to-play account and really pushing it to its limits and seeing what you can and can't accomplish within the confines of the restrictions of a free-to-play account makes free-to-play very interesting. Restrictions on gameplay, to me, make gameplay interesting. It forces you to make interesting decisions. It forces you to find interesting solutions. If I never have to, like, if I don't have any restrictions on what I can and can't do, I don't really ever have to think about what I'm doing. I just do it. Which to me is uninteresting. If you can do anything, nothing that you do is neat. To another extent, I believe that the free-to-play version of World of Warcraft is just flat out a better game than the full World of Warcraft game. I know that kind of sounds a little silly, but I want to tease that out for a second. I think that because this focus on endgame being the only thing that is sort of on the game designer's radar, because it's increasingly, well, I won't say increasingly, it used to be increasingly, but is now the only thing that's on its player base's radar, it leads to this situation where they want to give you more to do at endgame, and so they design the game around giving you things to do, rather than the game design from what I refer to as World of Warcraft 1, which was Vanilla, Wrath, or Vanilla, Burning Crusade, and Wrath. To me, that's World of Warcraft 1. World of Warcraft 2 was Cataclysm through BFA, World of Warcraft 3 started with Shadowlands. Anyway, World of Warcraft 1, or the original 3 expansions, were very obviously designed as a game that took place in a world that had been designed before the game was, which is true. The world of Azeroth was designed before World of Warcraft was. It was designed via the real-time strategy game, the Warcraft games, and partly through the fiction that accompanied them. So they created this very rich world and then dropped a game into it. And so it felt like you were really able to explore and immerse yourself in a fantasy world, which is very cool. But since then, the original lore ran its course, and they've been kind of trying to catch up ever since then, like keep the story going. And so the game design switched from, hey, we have this world that exists, let's put people in it, to we have all these people who need something to do, so we need to keep expanding the world around giving them those things to do. And so increasingly, Endgame feels wildly disjointed from the rest of the world. And this is nowhere more clear to me than in Battle for Azeroth. Battle for Azeroth is a great example of this because I think, for instance, Tiergard Sound and Borealis really felt really very cool. And like Drustvar and the Storm Peaks, was it the Storm Peaks? I forget what that zone was called in the north part of the continent. Anyways, Tiergard Sound was great. It was a really good zone. Drustvar was awesome. Questing and leveling in BFA from 110 to 120 was awesome. It was really super cool. I really enjoyed it a lot. And Borealis especially is one of the first cities, or one of the few cities, I'll say, not the only one, but one of the few that feels like a real city. Like even the original cities like Stormwind and Ironforge don't, like, I mean, okay, Ironforge maybe, not Stormwind maybe feels good, but like they definitely don't feel like cities people actually live in. You know what I mean? Where Borealis definitely feels like a real city. And in Tiergard Sound, which makes sense cohesively as a zone, and like all the little quest hubs in Tiergard Sound feel like real little towns or real little camps. Like they have parts of them that weren't designed just as quest hubs. It's like that continent was designed and then you were asked to go play a game in it, which was I really cannot stress enough how much I loved the questing experience in Battle for Azeroth. But the end game experience, where you like went into the chamber of the heart of Azeroth or whatever in Silithus, and it was just this room that was very obviously designed just to give you a treadmill for endgame. Like, it didn't make sense without there being something for the player to do. Like, if you removed the player from World of Warcraft, what purpose does that chamber of the heart of Azeroth serve? Nothing. But if you pull a player out of World of Warcraft, you can imagine Tiergard Sound and Drustvar and whatever. I'm going to look it up because I'm mad that I don't remember the name. Stormsong Valley. You can imagine those worlds carrying on and there still being things going on, and the NPCs were characters that actually had lives. Like it made sense. And so it was very jarring to be in BFA and like your in-game experience is running island expeditions, which are like disjointed and disconnected, instanced PvE stuff, doing war zones, which were phased from the actual zones that, you know, again, a huge disconnect, you know, these phased out zones that you had to join through this weird mechanic, and then like the Chamber of the Heart and doing like the corrupted Stormwind runs, and then like at the very end of Battle for Azeroth, like the corrupted zones that were phased from the actual zones, and like all of that was very disjointed and very sort of alienating as a player from the world that it existed. Like there's, at endgame, there's too many versions of the world that exist. It feels completely disconnected from what you experience when you're leveling. And that entire disconnection arises from endgame being the only thing the players care about. And so it's the only thing the game designers care about, which in turn means it's the only thing the players care about, which is the only thing the designers care about. And it's just this cycle, right? But you don't run into that at 20. Like, my end game in Battle for Azeroth will be questing through Tiergard Sound, which I've already done, questing through Drustvar, which I haven't done, but I'm very excited to do again. Maybe like hoping that come 9.2 or 9.25 Stormsong Valley opens up, and that's it. Like playing through, maybe those dungeons open up, maybe, you know, and that's it. That world never becomes disjointed like it does at endgame. So I think that level 20 really, like, not only does it, you know, the unique situation and restrictions that are placed on level 20s via the starter account restrictions, but also hits that sweet spot in level where you have so much to do, but none of it hits that end game barrier where they're very obviously just creating content to keep you on a treadmill. And that content feels disjointed from the world that they've built. So as free-to-plays go about playing their own end game, you never end up in that frustrating situation that so many end game players have felt for so long about the game, that it feels alienated and disconnected from the game. Like they feel disconnected from the very game that they're playing, which they have a hard time articulating. You know, they say things like, well, this game just sucks, none of this makes sense, anything like that. But it's because the content is designed just to give you something to do, rather than you are given something to do within the content as it was designed. And that design decision doesn't seem to affect 20s yet. And I've rambled enough about that. And I'm getting to the point, I can kind of tell I'm getting to the point where I need to be paying attention if I'm going to enjoy the sort of larger story of Grizzly Hills, which I really feel like I will. So I hope that my rambling made some sense and explained why I enjoy free-to-plays and 20s a little bit. If it didn't, feel free to ask me questions in the comments. I'll try to clarify things. If it did give you some indication, I hope maybe you've decided you want to try 20s and see if you find it a better game than the full World of Warcraft. That's awesome. That's what I'm hoping people will get into with my videos. So thanks for hanging out. I'm going to cut it here. No chill hop questing this time. The videos run long enough, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.